Going into this class, I had basically no clue what to expect. I don't even think that I had heard of a business continuity plan or knew what crisis management meant in the business sense. However, I just so happened to also at the beginning of the semester start working at a new company in need of a business continuity plan. So the timing, the information, and opportunity lined up pretty perfectly. Aurora Blaze is a marijuana cultivation facility that opened its doors in July of this year, and we began growing cannabis in August, also of this year. The building is brand new, and if it floated, it could be Noah's Ark with its own environment and enough space to fit every living thing, or 6,000 marijuana plants at any given time. Despite being kind of exceptional, the building has had its fair share of hiccups, some small and some so big we weren't sure we would be able to continue growing weed in the facility, or that there would be any there when we returned the next day, which just reinforced the need for a business continuity plan. The objective for the plan is to prepare and ensure business continuity in the face of unexpected interruption by anticipating high-risk scenarios, securing funds, and developing response, recovery, and training procedures. First off is the risk management plan, which details the types of possible interruptions, their severity, and their preventative action and contingency planning. As you can see, breakdown of critical facility equipment and contamination are the two largest risks for or to Aurora Blaze operation. Weed is an extremely finicky plant, and it depends on very specific and stable environment in order to thrive. If major building systems such as the HVAC system were to fail or malfunction, the negative impact on the plants can be seen within 24 hours or less. And in order to prevent a building system failure from becoming detrimental to the company, certain preventive actions can be taken, such as sourcing and securing an alternative production site to move operations to, and creating and storing a seed bank to ensure that regrowth efforts can be implemented immediately. Currently, if the facility was compromised, Alaska marijuana regulation does not allow for transfer of plants greater than 8 inches tall. So we would most likely have to start growth from seed at the alternative production facility. That, or we could transfer any plants under 8 inches to the alternative facility, or we could take mothers from, or take clones from the mothers at the alternative production facility and then use those to grow mature plants. Contamination is another very high risk event because of the wide array of bugs, chemicals, and environmental forces that can wipe out plants literally overnight. In the winter, the risk of contamination is obviously much lower because there isn't much to bring in from outside. However, smoking cigarettes can harm the plants due to the mosaic virus. Also, contaminants brought in from other grow setups can affect our plants, other setup, home grows, or other facilities. The best preventative actions we can take to ensure possible contamination is kept to a minimum are things such as wearing uniforms. So we have locker rooms, and it's a protocol to change into your uniform when you get to work. Therefore, that way we minimize anything being brought in from outside. Also, it is important to keep the reservoirs and flood tables and equipment clean, and maintaining an optimal environment for plants to thrive and not an optimal environment for bugs and fungus to thrive. Another important aspect of the risk management system is data and security. Metric is the regulatory system in place for tracking the production and sale of marijuana. All businesses must abide by and use Metric or risk revocation of their license. Metric is a cloud-based server, so data is always backed up and easily accessible as long as you have internet. Additionally, facilities are required by law to have recorded surveillance for a minimum of 40 days. So it would be critical to ensure we have an external hard drive that we would keep in the vault and have consistent backed up video surveillance footage loaded onto it. Because the last thing we would want to have in the event of a crisis is to then lose our license because we didn't have our video surveillance backed up. Business impact analysis. The three key business activities at Aurora Blaze are cultivation, maintenance, administration, and sales. Cultivation is the primary business function, and the company cannot earn income without the production of cannabis. Unfortunately, weed does not grow overnight. So if all plants were to be compromised, it would take anywhere from 9 to 12 weeks to harvest another crop. That being said, at a minimum of 10 pounds harvested per week, we could lose around $50,000 in revenue for every week we do not harvest. Even if the interruption did not kill all our plants, but did severely affect the yield or quality of them, our reputation could be severely tarnished. This could be devastating for Aurora Blaze because it is new to the market and it needs to make a name for itself, and preferably in a good way. The incident response plan. In the event of a major interruption, we would use the incident response checklist as a guide to ensure the incident is handled properly and that we do not overlook any important steps. In discussion 10, earlier in the semester, we discussed the critical components of a business continuity plan, and I remember one student had pointed out the importance of checklists. And having a checklist in a chaotic situation can prevent you from becoming sidetracked or overlook important functions. So the incident response checklist can go a long way in ensuring we handle the incident correctly and efficiently. In addition to the checklist, the Aurora Blaze business continuity plan also includes evacuation procedures, which, for obvious reasons, is a crucial asset to the incident response plan. The plan calls for a buddy system to ensure that everyone gets out of the building in case of a fire or other hazard requiring immediate evacuation. Because the facility is secure, you can't get in or out without a special key fob. So for evacuation purposes, we will create a designated place for spare fobs to be used only in case of emergency. This next slide shows the evacuation plan and floor plan of the Aurora Blaze facility. And I hope you enjoy my wonderful artistic talent there. So the meeting place will be on the southwest corner of the property on the Laurel Avenue. And because of the size of the building, there's obviously various exits that would be the best to take, and I tried to kind of predict what exits people would take depending on where they are in the building at the time of evacuation. In addition to the checklist and evacuation procedures, an emergency kit will be created and stored in a safe off-site location. The kit will include all basic and essential materials to enable business continuation even if the facility is compromised. Some items on the list include the business continuity plan, contact info for employees, suppliers, stakeholders, and local authorities, insurance licensing and financial documents, strain inventory, nutrient formulas and schedules, external hard drives, a computer, a mobile telephone with preloaded minutes as well as a camera, and then cash and preloaded prepaid cash card. We can't use banks because we're a cannabis business, so cash and prepaid cards. And then also other equipment such as beakers, hoses, spouts, gloves, labels, dirt, any necessary gardening equipment. In the event of an incident, certain staff will be delegated to handle various components of the incident response plan. So, for example, the general manager, John, and co-owner, Brittany, will be the team leaders, and they will be tasked with activating the BCP, facilitating response and recovery, and coordinating with other BCP teams, and keeping key staff informed. If interaction with the media or public is necessary, these two will be our spokespeople. Jesse Z and Jesse H, known as J-Rock and Scruffy, will be responsible for the plants, which means they will determine the need for relocation or transfer of budding plants, and will also be responsible for deciding viability of plants, whether we need to destroy them or if they're salvageable, gather any salvageable or movable inventory, and activate the seed bank if necessary. And then lastly, me, Jessica, and Ashley will be in charge, my coworker Ashley, will be in charge of ensuring we maintain compliance with the metric system throughout the incident, ensure key deliverables such as tax and licensing payments are made on time, and be the main point of contact for clients, as well as keeping stakeholders and suppliers informed. Moving on to the recovery plan. Being a new business often means that we are in a constant state of, well, broke. And the recovery plan calls for securing quite a substantial amount of funds. I have tentatively given us until April 2018 to secure and set aside recovery funds. For example, in the event of a catastrophe, we will want to have money available for replenishing inventory, covering overhead, fixed costs, and making payroll. Luckily, we would, as planned out in the BCP, we can reduce our staff substantially, which will help in minimizing overhead in terms of energy and payroll. Additionally, many administrative duties can be completed from home. So the recovery time objectives for each of the key business functions are for cultivation 2 weeks, for maintenance 1 to 3 days, and administration 7 to 30 days. If an alternate production location is required, we can move a majority of production next door to 3665 Worrell Avenue, which is a licensed facility and is owned by one of the co-owners of Aurora Blaze, which means we have full access to the facility. Because regulation prohibits most, like I said earlier, prevents us from moving any of the big plants over, we would most likely have to start basically from scratch, and could take clones from the moms at the adjacent or at the alternative location. We also can activate the seed bank in order to begin regrowth processes immediately. It does take the plants 9 to 12 weeks before they can be harvested, which does somewhat contradict with my 2-week RTO for cultivation. However, my reasoning behind that was because cultivation processes can resume back to normal within 2 weeks, even if income generation has to wait an additional 7 to 10 weeks. Lastly, the plan calls for training and review. As a critical function of the BCP, we plan to begin training staff on the plan after the new year, which will include delegation of roles and responsibilities as they pertain to the incident response plan, as well as review and practice of emergency and evacuation procedures. At this time, we may also seek input from staff for improvements of the BCP or just additions to it. And then finally, the review schedule. We decided to give ourselves until April 2018 to revise and review the plan because we need that time to secure funds for the recovery efforts. Thank you very much for watching my presentation, and I hope that I had a great semester. I hope you did too, and good luck in your future endeavors.